self-sufficient in case of emergency, Part 1 of 2. With disasters occurring more frequently due to climate change and increasing instability around the world, it's critical to be prepared, self-sufficient, and independent in case of an emergency situation. The summer of 2022 was the hottest ever recorded for Europe and China, and the second hottest for North America and Asia. It's estimated that the extreme heat led to 15,000 deaths across Europe as temperatures rose above 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit in areas where many homes lacked air conditioning. When temperatures are so far above average, nuclear power plants become strained due to an increase in energy demand combined with the inability to cool down by using water from local rivers which are drying up. This can lead to blackouts as the energy system is unable to keep up with the increased demand. Today, we'll share some tips on how to be prepared in these uncertain times. It's critical to have certain essential items such as food, water, light, power, fuel, solar and/or hand crank radio for news, etc. on hand in an emergency, and it costs relatively little to have an adequate supply. In Part 1 of this series, we'll focus on water and food. The most crucial resource for humans is clean drinking water. The human body is made up of approximately 60% water, and some of our vital organs, such as the heart and brain, are 73% water. Humans can last from 3 to 7 days without drinking water, which is a very short amount of time. It's easy to store fresh water in case of an emergency. Women need about 0.7 gallons or 2.7 liters, and men about 1 gallon or 3.8 liters per day for optimal functioning. But the human body can survive on about 0.3 gallons or 1 liter per day. Most survival guidelines suggest storing 1 gallon or 3.8 liters of water per person per day in case extra is needed for washing, cleaning, wound care, etc. Water does not expire, but over time the plastic bottles containing it leach plastic into the water. The shelf life for a 5-gallon or 18.9-liter water jug is about 2 years. If you notice the water becoming discolored, it could signify the growth of algae or bacteria, making it unsafe to drink. For a longer-term solution, many water filtering options are available. Check online stores or your local shops to find large water filtration systems. Various types of personal filtration straws allow you to drink clean filtered water directly from a freshwater source, such as a pond or lake. Another low-cost option is disinfecting tablets, which use chlorine or iodine to remove chemicals, bacteria, viruses, and parasites from unfiltered freshwater. These tablets typically sanitize water within 30 minutes. If none of these options are readily available, you can boil water for 1 minute, or if you are at an elevation above 6,500 feet or 1,980 meters, then boil it for 3 minutes. This method will remove most but not all toxins, such as lead and cadmium. Using a coffee filter to funnel water before boiling can also help to remove some larger contaminants. As a last resort, You can create your own natural spring using 2 buckets, some sand, dirt, rocks, and water. Make a few small drainage holes in one of the buckets, then fill it with a bottom layer of sand, a middle layer of dirt, and a top layer of rocks. Once the bucket is full, hang it on a tree. Place the other bucket on the ground below so the water you pour into the top bucket will be filtered into the lower bucket. This option will not remove all toxins, but it is better than drinking straight from a freshwater source. The American Red Cross from the United States suggests keeping a 2-week supply of water in the home when sheltering in place is required, and a 3-day supply to take with you in case you need to evacuate.
Vegan side effect. Feeling so noble, but yes, you are.
Thoughtful viewers, we'll now pause for a moment to hear a brief message. We'll return shortly. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our show. Now that you know how to stay hydrated, let's make sure that your pantry is well stocked with essential, long-lasting, non-perishable foods. Keeping food for an emergency is simple and cost-effective. If stored properly, many foods we eat daily can last for years or even decades on our shelves. Let's start with dry goods. White rice is an inexpensive and calorie-dense food, as 1 cup uncooked contains 716 calories. Uncooked white rice can be kept for 25 to 30 years if stored in an oxygen-free container. While brown rice might be healthier, it has a shelf life of 6 months only. Another staple food is dry beans. Beans are known for being rich in protein and fiber, and for their ability to stay fresh for 10 years or more when properly stored. Other dry goods known for their extremely long shelf life are pasta, oats, and wheat, each lasting at least a decade with proper storage. Canned fruits, vegetables, and beans are shelf-stable foods that can last 5 years or more if the cans are kept in good condition. Never eat canned food if the can has rusted, as iron can leach into the food. Also, harmful bacteria can enter the food if a can is dented, punctured, leaking, or bulging. If you open a can and notice a foul smell, milky liquids around the vegetables, or if liquid spurts from the can, avoid tasting the food and immediately throw it away. Other foods known to last decades include salt, cornstarch, vinegar, baking soda, maple syrup, dried herbs and spices, and coconut oil. Peanut butter is known to last 3 to 5 years, and powdered peanut butter can last up to 15 years. Soy sauce can last 2 to 3 years if open, and virtually forever if sealed. Instant coffee can last 10 years in an unopened container. You can also do research on the internet to find vegan emergency food bars and rations that have an extra long shelf life ranging from 5 to 25 years. Let's now learn how to store these foods to prolong their freshness. The key to making non-perishable foods last, whether they're dry or canned, is to keep them in a cool, dark, and dry environment. Store dry foods by pouring them into Mylar bags. When the bags are full, add oxygen absorbers to the bags. Each type of food needs a different quantity of oxygen absorbers to preserve freshness, so please do research online to discover the proper amount of oxygen absorbers for whichever food you intend to preserve. The best way to seal Mylar bags is with a clothes iron or hair straightener. Finally, place the sealed bags in a bucket or container, closing it with a lid. Place the container in a cool place a few inches above the ground to promote airflow. Make sure to label each bag with the food type and storage date before sealing. Another low-cost and easy option is to place dry goods in glass jars. Glass creates an oxygen and moisture barrier, allowing the foods inside to be preserved for an extended period. However, glass jars have downsides as they break easily and don't hold as much food as Mylar bags. Did you know that many weeds are edible and contain more nutrients than vegetables? The world's most common edible weed is the dandelion. Found on every continent except Antarctica, the dandelion is full of vitamins and minerals, possibly even more than spinach or kale. All parts of the dandelion can be eaten, including the flower, stem, and root. Lamb's quarters is another common weed that has been grown in many regions of the world as an agricultural crop due to its incredibly high nutrient content. Other weeds that can be eaten include common clover, green amaranth, chickweed, nettles, and wild mustard. As we prepare for the uncertain times ahead, the best thing we can do is learn to be as independent as possible. By learning how to grow our own food, we will always have sustenance, regardless of any shortages. Fruits and vegetables can be grown outdoors or indoors and in accord with any style of living, whether in a house, apartment, or RV. Our most beloved Supreme Master Ching Hai, vegan, shared these wise words with global viewers during a conference with Supreme Master TV team members, all vegans, in July 2020.
Self-sustain as much as possible.
Yes.
Yeah, even if you have balcony, you can plant things to eat, okay? If you have land, you plant crops, you plant vegetables, you plant fruit trees. Be self-sustained as much as possible. Anyone who listens. And disciple, of course. Plant organic food, okay? As much as you can. Self-sustain as much as you can.
Yes, thank you, Master.
In 2022, along with exceedingly hot temperatures and record low temperatures, severe winter storms are being reported across the globe. In Texas, USA, from February 10th to 20th, 2021, 3 severe winter storms hit parts of the state and left more than 4.5 million homes and businesses without power. Record low temperatures led to many difficulties with the power grid and created food, water, and heat shortages. Some citizens were left without power for 17 days during temperatures that dropped as low as -15 degrees Celsius. This unfortunate circumstance led to the deaths of between 246 and 702 citizens. In recent years, many other extreme winter weather events have been reported around the world. In part 2 of our series, we'll discuss how to keep yourself warm during a winter power outage and different ways to power home essentials without electricity, as well as other helpful tips to use in an emergency. Protecting yourself and your loved ones against hypothermia during a winter power outage is essential. Hypothermia is a medical emergency in which your body loses heat faster than it can produce. Hypothermia begins when your temperature drops from the normal body temperature of 37 degrees to 35 degrees Celsius or lower. As this happens, your heart, brain, internal organs, and nervous system start to lose functioning. Heart rate slows down and confusion can occur. At temperatures of minus 45 degrees Celsius, hypothermia can set in within 5 minutes, and at minus 18 degrees Celsius, about 30 to 60 minutes. This coldness includes wind chill as well. To protect yourself from frigid temperatures, layer your clothing to best retain your internal temperature. Your first layer, such as long underwear or long johns, should fit snugly and stay close to your body. In this way, it will provide warmth and absorb any sweat on your skin. Next, add 1 or 2 pairs of sweatpants and long sleeve shirts. These should also fit snugly to your base layer to form the insulation you need to retain body heat. For the outer layer, something thick like a fleece jacket or coat will give you the best chance of keeping your body temperature at an optimal level. Cover your feet with warm socks and slippers, your hands with gloves, and your head with a hat and face covering. Additional layers can be worn here as well. Hand warmers are also an excellent addition for both your hands and feet. Remember, if you're too warm, it's always easier to take layers off than to add them once you're cold. To keep your living area as warm as possible, have all family members stay together in a small room and share blankets to use body heat as a warming source. To retain heat in the room, roll up towels, place them under the door, and seal off windows if possible. You can even pitch a tent in the middle of the room to create a cozier space for everyone to bundle together. There are many cost-effective strategies to ensure you have heat and light during a winter power outage. One solution is to place 1 or more candles in vegetable shortening. This technique can light up a room and create a heat source for many days. Our most compassionate Supreme Master Ching Hai, vegan, recently shared this tip in one of her conferences with Supreme Master TV team members.
They sell somewhere like vegetable oil, but thickened vegetable oil. They call it all vegetable oil. I forgot the name behind that. It means fat anyway. But there's a name they use. I think they sell it in some supermarket, like a big chunk in a big can, tin can or jar, a big one. You buy that and then you buy a thin candle, a normal candle, thin and long, and stick that, immerse it in the middle of that can. Or you can make it smaller into smaller jars and then put the small candle in. You put the candle in the middle of this can of thickened vegetable oil, then it will burn just like a candle, but it becomes a big candle. And this one, if you buy a big one like 6 pounds or 3 pounds, then it will burn for 30 days plus or 70 days plus for 8 hours every day.
Wow.
And in an emergency, it's very good. And you sit together in a small room, very small. The smaller the better. Then it will be warm in case of emergency when you don't have any means to warm yourself in winter.
Yes,
Yes,
Master.
YouTube is airing good and useful things for people.
Yes, true.
Vegan, look straight, no need over your shoulder.
Thoughtful viewers, let's now pause for a moment to check our emergency supply kit to ensure that we have all the essentials to last a few days in case of a power cut. We'll return shortly. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our show, Be Self-Sufficient in Case of Emergency, Part 2 of 2. Candles in vegetable shortening can also be paired with other items to provide an indoor heating source. Place a flooring tile or small slab of concrete on a few pieces of styrofoam. Layer bricks in a rotating square shape for the first 2 layers, then 3 bricks on the 3rd layer, leaving a gap on the end. Then cover the structure with 2 bricks on top, creating a brick oven. Place 4 to 6 Crisco candles in the center of the oven. The candles will warm the bricks, providing a safe open flame warming structure. With an open flame, make sure the room is ventilated to provide fresh air and have water at hand in case of fire. Another option is to place Crisco candles directly in upside-down terracotta pots with heating ducts attached. As a safety precaution, keep the heating device on ceramic mats or something similar. We'll now share some methods to cook your food in case of a power outage. One short-term solution is a camping stove. These single-burner stoves, powered by small cans of propane or butane, will provide you with a cooking flame for a short time. Each can will last from 75 minutes to 3 hours of cooking time, so it is best to have a few extra cans on hand if you're without power for more than 1 to 2 days. If using heaters, stoves, or other items that use propane or butane, please make sure to have a functional carbon monoxide detector in your home. Another option is to create a homemade rocket stove. A rocket stove can be made from a few tin cans and will burn sticks and leaves to heat the food instead of fuel, making it a longer-lasting option if these items are readily available. Many online tutorials are available on creating this type of homemade cooking stove. A solar power generator is a resource that will allow you to power small appliances during a power outage, such as electric burners, lamps, heaters, and more. Solar power generators use solar panels instead of gasoline to charge a battery within the unit, giving you a free energy source in a power outage. Many options are readily available, offering multiple power outlets to connect essential items. Some can even be plugged into a car battery if weather conditions make recharging difficult. These devices require greater investment, but could be life-saving in the event of a long-term power outage. We'll now share some essentials to keep in your emergency safety kit. Imagine that you can't use technology for some of the basic things you take for granted, like using your mobile phone maps, which give you addresses and directions to where you need to go. If your phone becomes damaged or there is no internet access, none of this information will be available. Thus, it's crucial to write down significant phone numbers and addresses for family members and emergency services. Have a notepad in your safety kit with all this critical information and a map that gives you directions to landmarks while offline. Include a basic first aid kit with various size bandages, wrappings, gauze pads, antiseptic, and other essential items in case wound care is needed. If you're prescribed daily medication, always have a 7-day supply on hand. For additional light sources, keep enough matches, lighters, candles, and multiple flashlights that require the same type of batteries, as well as extra batteries. Headlamps are also a great addition, providing a hands-free light source while working. To stay connected to the outside world, have an emergency radio on hand, preferably crank-operated, which is both battery and manually powered. If showering is not possible, wet wipes will keep your hands clean and can be used for hygienic purposes. Keep a small supply of cash at home at all times. If the power goes down, debit and credit cards will be unusable, and hence buying items will likely be cash only. Other essentials include a cell phone charger, a multi-use tool, and a basic can opener. Pack all these items together in a container and store in a location that will be easy to access in an emergency. If you live in an area prone to flooding, store the container up high, such as the top of a closet or even on the second story. It's possible in an emergency that you will need to access this kit quickly should you need to flee your home. We all hope these items are never needed, but if an emergency arises, being prepared could be life-saving.